going on, people? It's your boy BSG. Bringing y'all some tea today, even though it's coffee. I don't know if y'all can tell. This is the tiniest cup in the history of cups. And what's crazy, they didn't even fill it the whole way. We're going to get into the little Ethereum tea today. All right. You can have that. This is going to be my last Portugal video. Don't know where we're going next. Have an idea, but, until we get there, I don't know. All right, so let's talk about this so-called Ethereum Merge. Okay, so, there's been so many, articles and YouTube videos, because I can tell you flat out right now, they lied to you about what it's really about, okay? So what was sold to you, the retail trader, was this was all about green energy. Bitcoin uses too much energy, is what we were told, even though the fiat system uses literally hundreds of times more energy, because you need trucks to even move the cash. You need banks that need electricity and water and things like that. I've talked about this on this channel before. Bitcoin needs none of that. So it's hundreds of times more efficient. But yet we have all of these people who believe in the oil industry and, military industry, people who are the most wasteful spenders when it comes to the environment and things like that, the biggest polluters. Now all of a sudden they're interested in a greener crypto. That's what they told you. But the reality is that's not what it was. See, what it is, the big boys, just keeping it real, they just don't like Bitcoin. And let me tell you why they don't like Bitcoin. It's the fairest monetary system in the world. You can't just create money. You have to have equipment. You can't, circumvent the system. And even if you have the equipment, you're not guaranteed to get a block every time. And that's the thing that they hate. Even Kevin O'Leary mentioned that. They don't want to set up equipment for a chance at getting a block. They want to be guaranteed to get a block. Well, that's not the way Bitcoin works. That's why it's so fair. It's a true honor system. It's a true competition. And just so interesting to me that these capitalists who always talk about fair market don't want to participate in the fairest market of all. Whether you're a guy at home or a big major mining company, anybody at any time, if they continually participate in the network, has the opportunity to mine a block or get a portion of the block. That is the fairest system. But no, they don't want that. So changing to proof of stake, what it essentially does, it removes all of the mining necessities for Ethereum, which essentially makes it a Chuck E. Cheese coin that you can just print. However, where the concentration of wealth is going to go, where the concentration of control is going to go, is going to simply go to people who own the most Ethereum, period. There's no competition anymore. There's no mining anymore. So now if, I manage a hedge fund, or, I have, great wealth from somewhere else, or I was thinking about getting into mining, but I didn't like, the fact that it was fair. Now all I have to do is buy as much Ethereum as possible. And now I get to control the network without anybody fighting or anything like that. That's what it's about. And so the reason why this is so unfair to you is most people don't know that Vitalik printed over 60 million Ethereum, not $60 million worth, 60 million Ethereum in the beginning. And he dished it out to himself, his friends, to be fair, other people who worked on the project. But they enriched themselves before the network was even born. Okay, Bitcoin didn't do that. Bitcoin was like, come one, come all. Anybody who wants to dedicate time and efforts towards the system could do so. And people were literally mining Bitcoin at pennies, at 10 cents, at 30 cents, because it was a fair and open system. Vitalik determined the price at the beginning. He sold it at a minimum price at the beginning. And then once it launched, obviously the price went into the stratosphere. I remember the day that Ethereum came on the market. I had the opportunity to buy it for $10, and I didn't because I thought it was trash then, and I still do. However, understand that even somebody like me, an OG like me, who had a chance to get Ethereum at $10, Vitalik and his friends had already priced Ethereum at 30 cents. So the minute that I would have bought a $10 Ethereum, they were already 30x of their initial investment. And I'm literally talking about just a couple months after the initial launch. Okay, so Ethereum has always been centralized. It was designed to be centralized. And now, with this proof of stake disguised as a green initiative, now it's more centralized than ever. Okay, so BSG, okay, it's centralized. I've heard that. What does that actually mean for us? Let me explain to you what that means. Something else that the big boys don't like, they don't like how transparent cryptocurrency is. They don't want everybody to know where their money is moving. If you know where the money is moving, you can't know who I'm paying behind the scenes to, change the law. You can't know who I'm lobbying with. I can always lie and say, no, I didn't pay that organization such and such amount, but the blockchain does not lie, okay? So with the centralization comes the potential and the guarantee of more censorship. Now that I control a large part of the market, right, which as of right now, two companies, Coinbase and Lido, own more than 40% of the network, just two. Now, politicians, senators, president, whoever, can now go to Coinbase and say, okay, we want you to censor this network. We want you to block these transactions. We want you to, do whatever we want because we can put the political pressure on you to do that. It is absolutely inevitable that that's going to happen, right? So it's all a game to control the system. They don't want a monetary system that's outside of their control. That's why they've attacked Bitcoin since the beginning, even though the United States government owns a ton. Probably the number one or two holder of Bitcoin is the United States government, right? But yet, on the surface, we're going to say, oh, this is bad. We don't want you to have. Why do you think China hates Bitcoin? Anything China hates, you should invest in. That's called a clue. They hate it because it's transparent. They hate it because it's fair, right? Anything that allowed somebody like me, coming from a poor background, to become a millionaire, they don't want that. I circumvented the system. I didn't, get a doctorate degree, a master's degree. I didn't even finish college, right? I didn't have to get a loan from a bank or something like that. They don't like people like me. They want you to go through this funnel, through the rat race, so they can then dictate to you where you're going to live and where you're going to be. World Economic Forum and the IMF actually said this recently. They said that in the future, you will own nothing and you'll like it. You'll own nothing. And what kind of craziness is that? They're telling you their agenda. You're not going to own houses. You're not going to even own your crypto. And you're going to like it. Speaking of not owning your crypto, the minute that you stake your Ethereum with Coinbase, you don't have access to your Ethereum. I didn't even know this. It was one of my students who came to me. Most people come into my program with Ethereum and Dogecoin. And I consult with them and I explain to them why you shouldn't be invested in those two things. And so this one particular guy was like, well, now that I've talked to you, I'd like to sell it, but I can't. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, yeah, when you stake your Ethereum with Coinbase, it's locked until Ethereum 2.0 comes out, and that could take years. I was like, what? I'm like, you can't sell your Ethereum if you wanted to right now? No, I can't sell it. I have to wait until Ethereum 2.0 comes out. Now, Ethereum 2.0 is out, and they still haven't released it. Now they've come out with their own version of Ethereum called CBE, right? And so what they've done is regular ETH might be, $1,500. CBE is $1,400. So you can play with that. You can move that, but you're going to do it at a reduced rate where they can still make a profit on you. They can still make a spread on you. Now that it's centralized, now that it's possible for censorship, I'm telling you, it's going to happen. What is the future of Ethereum? The future of Ethereum really comes down to this. I believe you're going to have developers. First of all, let's just get to the point. Nothing happens without developers. Okay? Nothing happens without people coming into this space and developing services on top of the blockchain. So if you want to know where something is going, know where the developers are going, and what coding language they're using and things like that. All right? So here's what I know is going to happen because it's already happened. The other proof of stake communities, the Cardanos, the Terras, the Solanas, the others, are going to fight against Ethereum because Ethereum has made itself a big target for the things that, I've just mentioned to you, mainly the centralization. Okay. Now, even though those that I just named are also centralized, they're going to now use that. So I think you're going to have a lot of the development talent go elsewhere and not work on Ethereum for fear of that censorship. How do we know that? Well, Tornado Cash, if you know anything about that, that allowed you to be even more private and more transparent. And so what did the SEC do? They went after them. That's called a clue. If developers go elsewhere, then that's where all of the value on the blockchain is going to go. Now, you're going to have some ETH fanboys that still, try to make this happen. But at the end of the day, what this has become is an extension of the failed fiat system. Okay? Your bigger companies are interested in this for one reason and one reason only, because they can now make 4, 5, 6% Ethereum for just staking without, mining. Right? So they're looking at that and they say, hey, well, sure, I'll buy $100 million worth of Ethereum if it's going to give me a 6% return. Okay? That's the thought process. Not saying that's going to happen, but that is the thought process. There's not going to be much continued development on Ethereum. In fact, in terms of growth, there hasn't been much. In the past 4 years, there hasn't been much growth on Ethereum in terms of transactions. 4 years ago, they were doing about 1.2 million. Last time I checked, which was last week, they're doing about 1.2 million. Okay, the reason why there's been no growth is because the transactions is too damn expensive. The regular person is not going to want to pay $75, $100 for a transaction when they're only transacting 10, 15, 20, even $5,000. That is too much. So Ethereum has become the place where you move millions because those are the only people who are going to want to use it, which ironically are the same people who want to control the blockchain. So if you don't have developer talent, that means the chain is going to die. As I've said, there hasn't been any growth. There's been other blockchains that have grown literally 50x in the last year and a half, 50x. Ethereum has not grown in 4 years, right? And now that it's more centralized, now that it's more set up for censorship, why are people going to develop more on that, do you think? What Ethereum gave to the blockchain world was their coding language, Solidity. That is still going to be used. It's the Solidity language that's being used on most of these other chains. So Now that you can use that language to build other things, why wouldn't people just build other things? It's kind of like, you know, Flash or Windows or, you know, something like that. You don't, once the technology is introduced, you can simply use that same technology on whatever platform that you want. And try as they might, the people who invented the technology might try to create proprietary systems for you to stay. But the bottom line is Solidity was always open source. And because it's open source, the language lives on, but the actual development on the Ethereum chain has been declining. There's been no growth. And I think eventually it's going to die out. For those of you who are not a part of my program, just so you know, Ethereum has never, ever, ever been a recommended cryptocurrency. And people have always wondered, why is that not a part of the Rex? And it's for the reasons that I'm telling you. Okay, even though, yeah, maybe I should have bought some at $10 all those years ago, the reality is, since 2018, Ethereum has lost money. Ethereum hit $2,000 in 2018. It's $1,400 now. Do you know how many 10Xs and 100Xs I've had in the last 4 years? Are you kidding me? So you've lost money as a retail person just holding Ethereum. But where all of the money has been made is in the mining. People have, every day, at least 16 million Ethereum has been mined. And that's just been going to the people who've been, you know, fairly proof of work mining the Ethereum. Now that's going away. And so now you're going to have that inflation just going out into the system without anybody having to work for it. Okay? Now, we'll see what happens. I've been wrong before, but again, I've made my money by investing in other things. I'm just letting you guys know, those that might be duped into thinking Ethereum to the moon and all of this, I don't see it happen. It's your boy BSG. I'm going to holler at y'all in the next video in a new country.